Hello! Hi, it's John. I'm driving, as you can tell, in my motorhome. We are 3 hours away from home, just coming past the Weatherby services on the M1, the main motorway of the UK. Today I'm going to talk with you about... I've been talking a lot, so my throat's a little sore. But I must admit, I really enjoy it. And it helps keep me awake, keep me entertained during the drive. So today we're going to talk about my past life experiences in ancient Egypt. Woohoo! And this is really fun because I just love exploring more with my mind and my heart the magic that exists in those times. And I've just recorded another video about my past lives, my soul origins, and at the start of that video I go into a whole explanation about how past lives are really, everything exists in the present moment, so past, parallel, present and future, and that in this kind of quantum behavior of times and emphasis on the present moment only is much more accurate than the concept of linear time. So please keep this in your mind and in your heart as I try my very best to explain in likely a mixture of linear and non-linear concepts the lifetimes I have past and present in ancient Egypt. Okay, let's flip you around so you can get some nice road shots, road views as I drive. Okay, where to start? In the beginning, there was a land with no time, a time with no land. It was timeless, landless, timeless, landless. It just was. Yeah, where do I start? Well, on my soul's journey to Earth, I had to go through several steps to get here. And prior to Earth, my last life was as a Lyran. So from Lyra, and so as a lion being. And when I first came to Earth, my mission was to help the humans and other extraterrestrial races build what we know as the Pyramids of Giza. Now, please don't ask me questions about the detail of how they built it, how we built it. It was around 40,000 years ago, so I think that's quite a lot older than is currently estimated. And it's really funny, there's this horse box in front, and you can almost see like through the back window. I'm not really sure what it is. It's like, maybe they're like little horsey windows or something, but they look very different. Almost like a stealth horse box vehicle. Maybe it's an MI5 horse box. Also looks incredibly clean and very new. It's going really slow. I need to get around it. I need to get around the horses. At least there's not lions. Quite why I was involved, I seem to be... My role from my memories is I was a kind of... almost like a foreman, you know, so I was often dedicating my energy to helping coordinate the placement of stones. It felt like I was needed to for my abilities to read the ley lines of the planets and connect with Gaia, even though I wasn't born on Mother Earth. And I do remember that the stones were both molded and manipulated and transported using sound. So that's really cool. So I'm a +1 to sound, being this incredible creative force, and also at the right tones and pitches, being able to, you resonate sound at the frequency, the resonant frequency of the stone, and you will allow the stone to levitate. Like it's like you're holding it in this kind of resonance field, and it becomes weightless, which is really cool, right? Because it makes it much easier to transport if it has no weight, and makes it much easier to build, and you're also able to manipulate it in size and shape much easier. And it, one of the we're always looking for explanations about what were the cutting tools that were used to cut the stone of our ancient monuments, not just in Egypt. And yet there's little evidence of it, and there are like some random evidence. I'm maybe thinking of like, is it Pumupunku and other places? It's just really fascinating that we might see evidence of the odd like cutting tool being practiced or used, but really they didn't need to cut, not in the way that we would understand, having to have a super sharp, high speed or high pressure tool to cut through stone. Instead, making the stone almost like a form of putty that you can just cut through with a nut, like literally with a knife. And then once you release the sound, it returns back to a solid state. Super cool, right? So why were we building these pyramids at all? What were they for? Who would use them? Well, first of all, those more recent, they're not super recent, right? But a few months ago, or maybe a year ago now, discoveries were made about these deep columns or similar structures beneath pyramids of Giza. And my understanding of those is that from my past lives, is that they were a form of vertical, deep pillar that really anchored in the monument above, the pyramid above, into the ley line. So that's why they go so deep beneath the earth, and almost like some sort of waterway construction, except for ley line energy. These deep pillars would transfer ley line energy upwards, so that the idea is that the ley line energy is flowing kind of horizontally, and it comes up and hits the vertical pillar beneath the pyramid, and then is forced upwards, and so that ley line energy is pushed up into the pyramid itself. Cool, huh? And then from there, the energy goes up into the pyramid, and the pyramid's shape is to allow a broad, so large at the bottom, large base, allow this very broad energy funnel to then focus at a narrow area, so such as the very top of the pyramid. But really all the action happened in the healing chamber, or chambers, near the center of the pyramids. And that's where I would work. So we'll start with the kind of more terrestrial experiences, or at least earthbound experiences that I'd had of using the pyramids. One was the pyramids would. So I'm just putting on my air conditioning, getting a bit like hot and sleepy. It's a really strange feeling. I did just eat a ton of nuts just before I came on video. So please give me a moment. So the healing chamber, very interestingly architected, we now know to be at 432 hertz, the heart chakra frequency, also the frequency of my music. What I found really fascinating is, years ago, not that many years ago, like 2, 3, 4 years ago, whenever you Googled online and checked to see the heart chakra frequency, you'd almost always get the same answer at 432 hertz. Now you seem to get other weird answers too, and even disagreement about what the heart chakra frequency is. I can only suggest you use something like a 432 hertz singing bowl or tuning fork or my music, and just feel that in your heart, because your heart can tell you at what frequency it's at. Also, it's possible that we have different timelines of where the baseline of our heart chakra frequency is likely different frequencies. So it does feel that the higher up you are in your frequency, the higher up your kind of default resting state frequency of your heart will be. So if you're being told that it's something like 500 hertz, well, you need to just have a higher frequency heart for your heart to be at 500 hertz, not 432 hertz. So I do remember doing things like healing with others. So we would heal, sometimes it'd be like another healer like me that I was helping. I remember that the healing modalities in the healing room were vast. There were many, for example, sometimes they would just be there by themselves, the client, if you like, and experiencing the ley line energy flowing up from Earth. And they would just have me or someone else just set the intention of the session, and then they would go and do the rest. Maybe they would even like give themselves a bit of a visual or guided meditation to talk themselves through connecting with the earth and bringing in healing energy and so on. I also remember doing reflexology foot massage for clients. Often, most clients felt like there were other practitioners, and that a lot of the reason why I learned in previous lives how to do energy clearing and removing negative energies was for that reason, was to remove entities from people after they've been doing a lot of hard work. They've been doing challenging work that's struggled with these people broken down, it's a shame. They got a wee young one as well. 2 wee young ones. You just really want to pull over and help, but it's so dangerous to pull over and stop. And they will have help on the way. I know firsthand that I've been breaking down recently that whilst it's really unpleasant being by a side of a road like this, the rescue services you can get in the UK where you just phone up, you don't really need to be a member, which I also learned. They'll just sign you up afterwards. or just charge you a lot. I also think they charge you after you've been rescued. You know, it's of all the things in our 3D world, you know, it's one of the better offered systems. Not perfect by any means. Anywho, back to Egypt. And yeah, I remember. Actually, it's really funny. I actually remember the room. These memories came back to me after doing Tuesdays at the Naked Revive Wellbeing Centre last year, where I was doing mainly reflexology and psychic reflexology for people that I would have people in, and so I'd have them in a room, and in the room we would do the treatments, and there was always this kind of clearing of the energy afterwards, and clearing up the room physically as well, and preparing for the next client. And it was those memories that I began to remember the healing rooms that I'd work in the pyramids. So that really blew my mind. It's like, I remember what it looked like. I remember the hieroglyphs on the walls. I remember the color. I remember the smell. I remember what I was wearing, what I looked like. This particular memory was later, like I feel the first two lifetimes were, like, firstly it was Lyran as a lion being, secondly it was a Lyran born on Earth, and then thirdly human. And so these memories I'm talking about are being human and doing work in the healing chambers, healing rooms. So that just fascinated me, this remembrance of the rituals I perform in between client sessions. And that it was also reflexology I did back then, although it seemed that I have memories of remembering a lot more about how it all really works. And we've lost so much of that knowledge, even in what they teach today in reflexology. It feels like the tip of the iceberg for knowledge for us to remember from our past lives. So that's exciting. Because we can do it, we can literally remember. We can remember our past lives. Pick your own fruit, fruitberryfarm.com. Exciting. And we are 244 minutes from home and 158 miles. So you might be more interested in this even cooler thing, is the extraterrestrial involvement with and activities with the pyramids of Giza. Let's talk about, as a Lyran, and I felt in particular, so my first lifetime was more about helping build the pyramids, and then second lifetime was more, I felt the first lifetime I may have been almost entirely like a lion on all fours. And then the second lifetime I was more Lyran being. Oh, there's reports of debris. It says it goes 60 miles an hour. That, or there's 60 reports of debris. So just keeping an eye out for random bits and pieces on the road. You can see there's some stuff off to the left. I'm just rattling the chair next to me because convinced some of the super loud rattling I've heard. It doesn't happen when there's someone not sat in the chair, which makes me think that it's not to do with the diesel heater fuel line that runs just under the driver's seat. I think, and in fact, I think it might even be further back. So, anywho, that's something else entirely. So yeah, my second lifetime as a Lyran, the purpose in the pyramids was to utilize them as, both my ears started ringing, to utilize them as portals, really a way of, the way that they would work is they would channel up the energy of the grid, so from Mother Gaia, concentrate that energy into the healing rooms, and then from the healing room allow you to set an intention about where you'd like to travel in space and time, and then you could jump there, almost like a jump room. And it was much more than I experienced today in my client sessions, where really our consciousness is becoming non-local and traveling. It's much more about
there are police reported ahead.
Oh, I really wish again, this real craving for the chocolate, which I know is out of arm's reach. Isn't it funny that they're saying police reports ahead? Just have this absolute craving for three little chocolates I have up on the ledge up here, and I can't reach them. So the purpose was to jump through space and time and to access different places around the universe. And for the vast majority of the time, for many, many years, I'd be jumping with a team and transported, more than just my consciousness, my physical body would be there too, and I would be able to jump to another area in space and time. And often what we were doing was helping people with their free will and or ascension journeys. And so it wasn't just like, I don't know, like the A-Team in the 80s, where you just turn up, you got a problem, you need to call the Lyran team. Dun, 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 dun. It wasn't like that. It was much more, ask the universe for help, and we would be guided by source to visit areas. Sometimes there might be battle involved. A lot of the time we were going to help people connect with them, talk with them, beings, support them, guide them, and almost be like the angels in Lyran clothing, which is good. Maybe this wind is trying to help shift this whole vehicle over to the right a bit more, so my chocolates will roll this way. It's okay, John. You get your chocolates one day. So that was really cool, right? And there's so much more to say. I'm a little bit fatigued by driving, as if you can't tell. Yeah, I felt it's really important truths to share about those Egyptian pyramids, because it wasn't just me, it wasn't just like only Jon Binnie's ever worked in those Egyptian pyramids. Many people that we meet are, fellow beings who have lived on other planets and stars are quite obsessed by the pyramids. I feel like they were also transporters for bringing people and beings to Earth. Literally teleporting. And I also feel they were aligned with other pyramid structures. You know, we know of them on Mars. I'm trying to. There's a name for the area on Mars. It's not Sea of Tranquility, is it? That's maybe the moon. It might come to me. The pyramids on Mars. But importantly, these same pyramids, other extraterrestrials were trying to learn how to build them, and they also tried to build them on other systems, including the Orion's Belt. I'm not sure which planet they were building the pyramids on. Yeah, isn't that fascinating that that's how the alignment, you always wonder why are these pyramids aligned with Orion's Belt? Well, now you know. So that's really awesome to feel into. I do feel that not everything was rainbows and unicorns or lions and tigers. We did have a few problems, and some of what seemed to happen was we had this kind of like prime directive, which was always that, first of all, people, you know, a tenet like I have today, where people always needed to ask for help, right? But we didn't notice after a while that everyone was always asking for help. So that kind of like, it, in many respects, it was a lazy thing to do, but it was encouraging us to not pay so much attention to consent, because everyone's always asking for help, right? Question mark. So that's why I feel I'm so obsessed about consent now, is because I'm just always obsessed by whether someone said yes or no to the thing that you're going to offer them. Okay, and then the next thing is, there was this whole, I describe it like argument and disruptions with what I'd call the black pyramid. So there's this kind of jet black pyramid that was designed as like a fourth pyramid, and it was built to balance and harmonize and hold a broad frequency range. But the other three pyramids are the ones that were high vibration, and then the dark pyramid. And the dark pyramid was run by what I'd describe them as, do I have a name for them? Let's call them raven beings. So visually they are very dark, you know, so like really very black beings. They stood almost in humanoid form, so they could, almost like an owl can stand up. One of their superpowers, fascinatingly, is the ability to jump through space and time. And what makes them a formidable adversary is that you could be having a sword battle or a light sword battle with them, and they could be jumping through space and time and going for, you know, others that you care about, your loved ones or whatever they chose to do, almost in between each sword swipe. So they became highly revered, if you like, and I've often had this in this life. I must admit, my present life, I really love ravens and crows. I'm like a big fan, and in fact, on my Monday, looking forward to Monday, my morning runs, there's quite a few families, you know, couples, families, and murders of crows, as they call them, And that's lovely. I really love that. That experience. It feels very wholesome. And I'm not scared of them at all. So the dark pyramid, or the black pyramid, and some of you have asked about, for example, the pyramid at Alaska. I feel that is that pyramid, that it moved. Because initially, the pyramid was on the surface facing upwards, just like all the other pyramids. But then after a lot of arguments and battles there's this kind of, if you can't tell already, the light was becoming like poisoned. The light, what started out as kind of liberation and freedom missions turned into deciding, like judging and deciding for others whether they needed liberating and what decisions they needed to take. So the light had become very false light. And in fact, there were some people that were busy forcing beings back to source against their will, which is, I find personally quite harrowing. I do feel murder's a really bad thing to do. I feel it's even worse to effectively try and murder someone's soul, because their soul is eternal until it chooses otherwise. So that was really dark. I keep feeling around for the chocolates. I want my chocolate, it'd be so lovely. And so eventually this pyramid it was like forced underground, so it inverted, so the base remained on the surface, and then instead the tip of the pyramid was underground, so that faced downwards. And it was all, the whole 4 pyramids were designed to be work in harmony together. That when they work together, not just in isolation, not just the individual healing rooms, when you work together, you could resonate more of Earth's energy. And some people are looking into the possibility that the pyramids could have been a form of power generation. That was also true. That was, the channeling of Mother Gaia's energy was also a huge part of this. I want to go just a little bit slower, see if I can stay behind this van. This is a van conversion called Bessie. I feel like Bessie is a YouTuber. Do I know this YouTuber? Maybe. Let's go past them and see. I'm not harassing other drivers, just passing by, get an idea what who's driving. I think it's a dude. Yeah, it's not who I was expecting. Oh, there's a guy peeing. Little does he know he's on YouTube. That was just someone peeing by the side of the road. Okay, this video is keep focused, John, keep focused, you can do it. Doing great. So yeah, we basically fell out between our false light and the shenanigans that went on with the raven beings. These dark avians is another term that's been used for them. So we all fell out, and really what seemed to happen is we ended up eventually abandoning the pyramids that they were really shut down because we couldn't really trust ourselves anymore using them for a force of good. And plus, humans, modern man had, I hate using that term, modern man, modern woman, you know, our more recent civilizations were growing around the world, and this was really a form of kind of borrowed extraterrestrial technology and was never really intended to remain on Earth forever. It was more to help make the most of Gaia's more her kind of younger, youthful energy and help some humanity at the same time. And I'll come on to the interactions with Ascension in a moment, and the link between Ascension and pyramids in a moment. And you might be able to hear this whistling coming from the background. That's the roof light that I really need to figure out how to secure because it's almost like not quite built right. It's fine. Or as I say to my son, when he tells me it's fine, I often retort with, it's fine until it's not. It's a bit like playing with razor blades. It's like, it's fine until it's not. Anyway, this is an interlinked story of our Earth's ascension story is the universe's ascension. And you might be thinking, what's this got to do with your past lives, John? What's this got to do with with Egypt? I would say everything. Okay, everything. So we don't have a huge amount of time, even if this is like 30 odd minutes to explain. But let's just go with these concepts. I'll introduce them without going into tons of detail, and then I'll kind of stitch them together. And then if we get a bit of time still, I can like deep dive on some of them. If not, you'll just get the concepts and the weaving of the stories of these concepts together. So the first is that Gaia, right, it all starts with her, right? Why is Gaia and her soul so important in the ascension of the universe? One soul, one universe, the ascension of all beings, if you choose. Welcome to Mother Gaia, the movie. Well, first of all, Gaia has a unique superpower of being able to host, as a planet, on planet Earth, a very broad frequency range of beings. That's awesome, isn't it? Well, you might think, isn't that lovely? It's so diverse. And then you realize, hang on a minute, that means that explains why Earth often feels like heaven on Earth and hell on Earth and everything in between. And it's because it is, right? I know some of us say things like, I never want to be incarnated on Earth again, I'm never coming back here, or my life is hell on Earth, or is at times, or was in the past, or I'm worried about that being like the future. You know, whilst I kind of put on a funny voice and say those things, I just want to verify with you that all those things that you feel are true. And sometimes that's all you want, right? You just like, I just want someone to acknowledge that sometimes this life is hell on earth. And believe you me, even my super happy, high vibration life is now my dream life, is a low bar compared to some beings in higher vibrations, right? So let's just all, for as much as we all choose, feel free to continue to raise the bar on the baseline on what is happy and joyful to to live and to feel. Because from a universal perspective, things can only get better, can only get better. Now we found love. That's not my song. I'm sure that was an 80s song. So there's quite a lot of beings, extraterrestrials in the universe, that want to join in the whole fun of Mother Gaia's broad, diverse frequency range and her ability to support life on this planet across a very broad, diverse frequency range. And knowing that Gaia has chosen for her and her living things, her children, us, ascension. Good news. It's a little bit like a kind of open ascension party for all beings in the universe, right? But there are a few conditions if you want to join the ascension party. And it seems that one of them is you need to have some sort of a kind of universal right to call Earth your home. That's pretty difficult if you're, let's say, for example, a Zeta grey alien. How do you call Earth your home? Well, somewhat kind of good news is that really the Zetas are a future timeline of us, right? It's just that things didn't go quite so well in that future timeline. And one of the big challenges they have is an ever-narrowing gene pool. And that spells out trouble for the future, the longevity of your extraterrestrial race, or in this case, your Zeta race. So, what they decided to do, given that they can jump through space and time, and it's quite cool. I don't know if you guys can see it, but right up above the road just now is a UFO-shaped white cloud. There's a few of them, and there's ones to the right which are stacked upon each other. And so
roadworks ahead.
Roadworks ahead. So if you want to join Earth's Ascension, be in the Earth Ascension Club, then you must have a deep enough connection, divine right, a universal right, to call Earth your home. And what better way than to interbreed with the humans? And I've said in other videos, yes, there were programs that of interbreeding with humans that were not fully consensual. Often they were consensual with the soul, but not with the incarnation. And there was also consensual ones. Hey, buddy. Patch can say hello. Hello. How are you? He's just saying hello. He's probably thinking, I've been chatting for hours. I have Patch for hours. Oh, he's got a happy little face. He's so cute. Just 2 more hours. Well, 2 hours and 20 minutes and we'll be home, okay? Good boy. You're a good boy. Yes, you are. You've got food and water back there, you know, if you're thirsty or hungry. So, through interbreeding, the DNA of the extraterrestrials would interweave, if you like, with humans, which allowed them to broaden, in the case of the Zetas, broaden their gene pool, their DNA, and join in the whole Earth Ascension Fund. One of the challenges, or should I say one of the kind of inescapable truths, is that they also need to join in all the fun that we go through, right? Shadow work. Just imagine like a little Zeta Grey alien going like, I must face my fears. And you're like, oh my God, these are, this is an extraterrestrial race not always known for its loving kindness and compassion, and yet here they are deciding, many of them, to join in the ascension journey, and so to go through these expansive experiences. I've met clients whose role, or their past life, or their guide's role has been to teach these Zeta aliens how to ascend, teach them spirituality. And it feels a little bit like, some people describe them as AI or biological technology or biological AI. I would say they're absolutely conscious, and they absolutely need, deserve the same equality that we offer to all living things across the planet, across the universe. Just being aware that they have less experience of working with their hearts. They have hearts, and that it's a journey for all of us, right? We're all in this together. But it's also true for many others. So I would say a lot of, not all, but a lot of these extraterrestrial beings knew exactly what they were doing. They're like, let's join the ascension party. Let's join in with the interbreeding with the human race. Then you can have some sort of claim to being of the Earth. Then you can be within the kind of catchment area, if you like, or catchment frequency of ascension of Earth. And then you can work your merry way up to fifth dimension, not just on Earth, but everywhere. Anywho, not everyone was. I'm just speaking next to an empty can, so there's a funny noise. Not everyone has a totally conscious interbreeding program with the humans. We know this, that love has no bounds, or love knows no bounds. Although I'd love to think that love respects sovereignty and consent. And so you'd have, Arcturians, Palladians, Syrians, Lyrans, like the Avians, and the list goes on of beings interbreeding with humans. And they may or may not have realized at the time that because of Earth is ascending, and I don't think it's just one, I think my feeling is some kind of like critical mass, if you like, of interbreeding that suddenly creates this kind of cord connection between different races, like between humans and Lyrans. And then the next thing you know is everyone's ascension journeys have a strong interlink. A bit like suddenly your shoelaces are tied together with your partner, and you're wondering why, when one of you is climbing the stairs, the other one has to climb the stairs too. Oh, I love that. I love my analogies. So that's a lot of fun. To go on you go, you can do it. There's little wacky races, white cars. So yeah, it's so incredible that the human race is ascending at all, right? Frankly. Hey, we've got you and me, like you watching this video and me making this video. We can do this. We can ascend the earth. And that all these super sophisticated, highly intelligent, high vibration, often angelic beings, they're somewhat roped into and connected into Earth's ascension because of a little bit of loving, extraterrestrial loving and human loving going on across Earth, and that we're all becoming much more interlinked. Now, I'm sure there's more to it than just the love affairs that we have with each other, and that I love that we all find each other so attractive, or maybe everyone finds a human attractive. Come to Earth. The humans are beautiful, and it just is, right? Whether these decisions were programs, sometimes people talk very negatively about, because they absolutely existed. I've visited them in client sessions, and some clients have even run those facilities where there was not very nice experiences of almost like farming humans for DNA manipulation and interbreeding. But it wasn't all like that, right? So I just want to give a broader spectrum, broader perspective. So, going back to Egypt, a lot of this did happen on Egypt, and there's something I'm still integrating. I'm not fully bought into this concept yet. I'm still integrating this concept I'm about to mention, and that is that for sure extraterrestrials have been they've been working with our DNA a lot, and some of it they needed to, if you want a being to first of all exist, like a Lyran to exist on Earth, you need some sort of like manipulation of their DNA. And then I also feel that if you want to bring in Lyran superpowers into a human, you need to bring in Lyran DNA, or should I say that the soul finds it much easier to inhabit going from Lyran to human, almost like human plus with some Lyran DNA, much easier to yield their Lyran superpowers as a human, or human plus Lyran. So all that's all very fascinating. I also know, this is more recent knowledge, is that from my spirit guides, in particular, my Mantis guide Marita and Emmett Shell, my Lyran guide, is that humans, we can evolve our DNA, and that's within lifetimes. Isn't that cool that we can, within our life, so right now, you can manipulate your own DNA. Woohoo! Isn't that cool? And some of what, some of the challenge, some of the attractiveness of interbreeding with humans is some of these superpowers, right? That not every extraterrestrial form, not every humanoid form, and humanoid forms are quite popular, right? This bipedal form, not everyone can do it, and so being able to understand how to do that or being able to support it is fantastic. Also, I've learned that extraterrestrials can't seem to figure out how to do this themselves, right? You think, why would they bother if they're so clever? Why would they bother having to interbreed with a human to learn how to do things like manipulate your own DNA, or yield superpowers from many different soul incarnations as a human? And the best way I can describe it as that there's this kind of magical property to our to the human DNA that allows for this kind of wild cards, random exploration, this magic, this magical discovery of our own capabilities and our own superpowers, and that creates a huge diversity in our range, our broad range of uniqueness, not just the frequency range of Earth and the broad frequency range of humans. Some humans are super low vibration, and some are very high vibration. I'm an angel, I'm a demon, I'm an angel, and everything in between. So there's magic in them that are humans, and so a lot of beings, or extraterrestrial beings, are trying to tap into that. They don't fully understand it, and the way Source has described it to me is that Source has this, will always have this kind of seemingly random exploration. Look at pigeon. This pigeon was flying sideways into the wind. Us humans are always going to have some degree of random exploration in our DNA, and it creates such beautiful diversity in us. And so the extraterrestrials, back in the times of ancient Egypt, were trying their very best to connect with this and to explore it. The bit, remember I was saying earlier, I was introduced to this thing I'm not so sure about, and that is, which I didn't really get onto, so you might have even thought all that stuff I just said I'm not sure about. The thing I'm the least sure about at the moment is, have the humans really been, we've definitely had periods of being enslaved, because we were so good at enslaving ourselves, right? We're masters as a species of enslaving ourselves. It's brutal what we can do to each other. And it still happens today, like salary slavery and actual slavery, slavery, it's just awful what we do to each other. And it appears that before that, we were enslaved. There's something in our design that we're highly programmable species. And some practitioners I've worked with describe the human race as being the original artificial intelligence. Now that's curious, isn't it? It's a really interesting experience to connect in with. Is were we actually designed perhaps even on other planets and brought here as a species to planet Earth? Were we actually a completely different race, not like extraterrestrial and not like the humans we know now, and then we were just interbreeded, and that in other words, the existing there's a diverse range, not just Homo sapiens, but like a whole range of human-like beings here on Earth. And then suddenly there was this kind of leap in our evolution, and like modern human kind of appeared out of nowhere. Ta-da! And so those origin stories I don't have like a full understanding of yet, but even just sharing with you what I've shared in this video so far, it makes a lot of sense that there's been a lot of DNA manipulation and interbreeding, conscious and unconsciously, with other extraterrestrial races. So yeah, the pyramids, they had a lot of extraterrestrials, and all these hieroglyphs with like people with bird heads. Holy crap, look how fast that guy is going. He must be doing like 100 plus miles an hour. All these beings with some with dog heads, bird heads, and more. Was it snake heads? Some others. I feel that it's all real. Like they're just actually the reason they had a human body is because they're just describing the humanoid aspects of them, and then the rest, really like avians. They had, I always saw them as the dark avians having wings, not really arms, claws and wings, and so, but the face and the head, unsurprisingly, us as humans were always obsessed about how people look facially, often first. When you look at the Egyptian hieroglyphs and art, that's how they would depict extraterrestrials. There, I said it. Well, that was great fun, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. I really love creating these videos, and I hope it helps you connect in with join some of the dots, or offer kind of dotted lines for drawing some of the dots together, because it is a lot of fun doing these videos, my long drives, and sharing them with you. And it's a real honor to do this and receive your reflections. So thank you so much. All right, thank you so much, everyone. Take care. Sending love, love, love.